Staying with that matter, political analyst Dr Levy Ndou now joins us live via video link to look into the ANC's Lekgotla currently underway in Boksburg. A very good afternoon to Dr Ndou, and thank you for your time at this hour on the SABC.
Good afternoon to you, Lisa. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Thank you for having me.
On the issue of the Lekgotla and some of the resolutions and initiatives that obviously will be adopted, really just looking at the gaps as well. What are you observing? Samkele earlier on spoke about, focusing on improving basic services, water, the issue of coalitions also coming to the fore. What do you think is set to top the agenda? How do you think this is also likely set to translate from the ruling party?
The Lekgotla is coming at the moment when we're heading towards the general elections. And what citizens look at in the parties that are in power is actually the provisioning of basic services. Hence, Mr. Maseko had to stipulate all the areas that the Lekgotla is actually looking at. The ANC is supposed to provide a brief or a report to the ordinary citizens on the work that they've done, on the work that they continue to do, and in the main, it should be issues that are much close to the ordinary citizens out there. And my view is that this Lekgotla should also be able to provide an honest analysis on the part of the leadership of the ANC on what is supposed to be done and what are the areas that are supposed to be improved. But we don't only expect the ANC only to focus on the positives. In areas where they know that they've not been doing very well, they should also come out so that whoever is to get into the new administration, either it is them continue or any other party, they should actually be able to know areas that are providing challenges for government.
Thank you for those sentiments. Another issue that we obviously have been exploring since yesterday was the suspension of the former president, Jacob Zuma, from the party. Perhaps you could also, help us understand this in context to other leaders having been suspended, like Ace Magashule. We're edging closer to elections, and a lot of mobilization is happening. We're really looking at the impact this is also going to have.
Well, there are a lot of people who would get frustrated by the pace in which the ANC would move, especially on issues that relates to discipline. Of course, it is correct that it is not only starting with former President Jacob Zuma. My sense is that there are people who would contravene the rules and regulations of the party, and what therefore has to happen is that whether the ANC likes it or not, there is a constitution which has to be followed, and that constitution is supposed to be implemented and it should be seen to be working. And it is in the hands of those that are in leadership positions to ensure that that constitution is followed. Secondly, the ANC is supposed to be seen treating all its members equally. Whether you have been the president of the party or you have been an ordinary member of the party, if you contravene the constitution, the leadership of the ANC or constitutional processes are supposed to kick in. Any organization that has a constitution and does not follow it, that organization has a potential to attract people that are not going to follow the rules of the party, people that are going to not respect the constitution. And if you have a political party like that, rest assured that political party cannot stand, because it will be unable to ensure that the rules and regulations of the organization are followed by the members.
And so how do you, from your vantage point, speak to unity and renewal of the party, a theme that has been explored in the last 5 years under Cyril Ramaphosa's tenure? How does that come into play then?
My view is that unity and renewal of the ANC should work well when there is cooperation and when there is discipline. People that are united would ensure that they constantly guide each other, advise each other in ensuring that they don't see themselves walking in parallel ways. At the same time, when you want to deal with the renewal project of the ANC, in the context of the ANC itself, it has to deal with matters that relates to discipline. It has to deal with matters that talks to the fight against corruption. It also has to deal with matters that relates to attracting right people who will be prepared to learn the rules of the organization and also ensure that they abide by those rules. And indeed, if you've got members who cannot be able to follow the rules, then you do not have right members in that organization, because you can't talk of renewal and be lenient on ill discipline.
Another hot topic that comes to mind, the ANC, it's standing within South Africa's politics, and also how the ICJ case is going to impact elections going forward, the dynamics unfolding thereafter. What are you observing from your vantage point on that front?
Well, there are mixed feelings about the ICJ issue. But what is coming out very clearly is that the majority of South African citizens are quite excited about the bold step that South Africa has actually taken by taking this matter to the ICJ, and indeed it came out in their favor. The ANC has got a history of fighting for human rights and fighting against the apartheid system. And the relationship that South Africa always had with Palestine, it's well documented. And it's not surprising that the ANC has always been on the side of the Palestinian people. I think they can also use this whilst they're campaigning, that in their own standing, nothing has actually changed, and they're always on the side of the oppressed and the exploited people, not only in South Africa, but also even outside South Africa.